Hello everybody, it's Fufu here, and it's time again for another top 5 most wanted Mega Evolutions. Today we're going to be considering Generation 4. I've already done videos on Generations 1 to 3, so if you haven't seen them, go and check them out, but it's just Generation 4 today. How I do these videos is by gauging people's opinions on my Twitter account, so I tweet out a poll, people vote on the poll for the Pokemon that they most want to get a Mega Evolution, so that I don't just then spout my own opinions in this video. We've actually got quite a lot of people who've come to this decision that these are the top 5 most wanted Pokemon to get Mega Evolutions from Generation 4. If you want to be involved in future voting for Generations 5, 6 and beyond, then please go and follow me over on my Twitter account. Without further ado, let's get into this week's list. Number 5. Bibarle. This beaver Pokemon used to not be so good, then it got the simple ability which meant that it could boost its stats really easily, and then in Generation 7 in Pokemon Sun and Moon it learnt Sword Stance. This was a game changer. It can now get +4 attack in one turn. Its stats aren't amazing, but with that attack boost and access to good stabs on its water and normal typing as well as priority, this Pokemon has become a lot better over the generations. But how would it look if it got a Mega Evolution? So I think it would keep its water normal typing, and I think in terms of the stats, what we would see is a big increase in attack. Its attack is its highest stat, so it definitely would get a boost there. I think we'd also see a little bit of a boost in speed, which would be really helpful, especially now that it can boost its attack really easily. Getting a little bit faster means it'll outspeed some more things and be able to take them out. And also, really importantly, some boosts in its defenses, which will allow it to set up a lot more easily. So now with this base 125 attack, which isn't huge, but bearing in mind that that will go up by +4 quite easily, that is really threatening. The defenses really allow it to set up a lot easier. In terms of the abilities, I think it should either keep simple, because it allows Bibarle to set up that +4 attack and really be a threat, or alternatively maybe a different ability like Contrary or something else, because you can always have a simple Bibarle before it Mega Evolves to get that +4 attack, and then Mega Evolve and get a different ability to benefit from. The only issue with that being that Bibarle as it stands is not particularly bulky with only 60 in its defenses. You really need to Mega Evolve to be able to get those good defenses to set up a lot easier. So I think keeping simple is actually the best option here, and then you're going to be able to smash things with Return, with Waterfall, or just go for that Aqua Jet or Quick Attack to be able to take down anything that's faster than you. Bibarle would be a massive threat like this, and I think it is so cool. Number 4. Crickethoon. Crickethoon is best known for its amazing singing. It has probably got the best cry in the game, and I love it. In terms of competitively, you don't see it used too much, but it does have access to Sticky Web, which is a really useful entry hazard. Apart from that, it doesn't stand out too much. Its stats are really quite low. Its attack is the only thing that's only average, it's not even good. So what can we do to help it out with a Mega Evolution? Well, I think the first thing that would be quite nice to look into is maybe making it a Bug Dark type. It would be really weak to a lot of types, which isn't great, but it would give it more offensive options with Stab Knockoff, which would be great. We also don't have a Bug Dark type yet, so it would be really nice to see that niche filled. In terms of the 100 stat points you get on Mega Evolution, where would they go with Crickethoon? Well, I think we would get a little bit more than that, because I could see that the special attack would drop dramatically. Especially with the design that I'm looking at here, Crickethoon is much less looking like it's bug buzzing a lot, and it definitely looks like it's slashing things up a lot more, so I think the special attack could go down significantly, much like Mega Beedrill, and then we've got a lot more stats to play around with, which would be crucial for Crickethoon. So what I could see happening is it gaining 20 speed, which it really needs to be able to outspeed anything, so that it doesn't just get KO'd really easily. I also think it will get a massive attack boost. Attack is its highest stat, so it's getting the biggest boost. 50 points into that makes it 135, which is actually very threatening. And then the rest of the points are just going to go into defenses to shore them up a little bit, so that Crickethoon can potentially set up a Sword Stance or maybe take a hit and then return KO the opponent. In terms of its abilities, I think that these would change. I think Tough Claws could definitely work out. It's got massive sides, so I think that they would fit the bill. This would boost its contact moves, which I think are the main moves that it would go for. Alternatively, we could look at Tinted Lens here, because that means that anything that resists Crickethoon's attacks would be hit even harder. But I quite like the idea of Tough Claws because you still get a boost even if your moves aren't resisted. What's really cool about Crickethoon with the Bug Dark typing is it gets stabs on two of the best moves in the game now, which are Knockoff. Knockoff has always been great since Generation 6. It's very powerful and it gets rid of opponents' items, which is very, very good. And the other move that gets boosted is Leech Life, which is now a base 80 power bug move, and you get recovery. So another reason why boosted defenses means it can tank hits and then suck up all that health back with Leech Life. So this Pokemon could be really cool and I would love to see Mega Crickethoon. Number 3. Yanmega. Yanmega's a really interesting choice here. I have a slight suspicion that some people may have just chosen it because Mega Yanmega sounds funny. But as it goes, Yanmega is already very good. Its stats are slightly deceptive because they don't look absolutely amazing, whereas this Pokemon is pretty darn amazing. And that's mainly due to its very, very good abilities. So it can be a very good sweeper with speed boost. It's got a decent special attack stat, and with speed boost, it can quickly outspeed your entire team and hit you very hard. Alternatively, it can be a great wall breaker, playing a completely different role. With Tinted Lens and Choice Specs, it smashes pretty much anything that doesn't have huge special defense, and it doesn't really matter if you resist its attacks either. So it can be very hard to know what to switch in onto Yanmega, whether it's going to be a sweeper or a wall breaker. So what could we do with a Mega Evolution that would help out Yanmega to maybe perform another different role? What I quite like to see is Yanmega gaining the Dragon typing. It would also maybe need to learn a Dragon type move that would help, maybe like Dragon Pulse. But it is a Dragonfly Pokemon, so it would make a ton of sense in my opinion. Bug Dragon would be really cool. It would then also lose that 4x weakness to Stealth Rock, which is holding it back a little bit. In terms of the stat boosts, I'd like to see its special attack get the biggest boost, obviously because it is a special attacker. Getting to 156, that is very, very scary. It's a massive special attack stat. I think we'd see a modest boost to speed to 110, reflecting that it is a fast Pokemon, but you don't need a huge increase in speed for reasons I'll go into in a second. I think shoring up that special defense is very important because currently Yanmega can be revenge KO'd very easily with special hits, whereas making that a bit higher means that Yanmega can tank hits a lot better. In terms of its defense, that would also gain a little bit of a boost to increase it above 100, making it very decent. In terms of abilities, I think that this Yanmega could keep Tinted Lens for the main reason that it can now play both abilities. It could come in as a normal Yanmega with speed boost, go for a protect, get that speed boost, then Mega Evolve, and you have the Tinted Lens as well. So you get both sets in one, and that is so cool. So you can be a wall breaker, but you can also be the speed boost Pokemon. I like the idea of the set a lot. I think the Bug Dragon typing, again, is a unique typing that we haven't seen yet, and I would love to see it. Number 2, Torterra. The first and only starter that we're going to see on this list, which is really interesting. Torterra is unfortunately probably the overlooked starter of Generation 4. Infernape is a very, very good Pokemon that's really great competitively, and you see quite a lot. Empoleon is also really cool, being the only Water Steel type. So it really has a niche and it can do lots of cool things, and it hits really hard too. Torterra is slow and has a few weaknesses which can hold it back a little bit, but it has really nice bulk and also a good attack stat, and it can boost its speed with Rock Polish. So it has got a few options going for it, but you just don't see it as often. So where could we help it out with a Mega Evolution? In terms of typing, I think that it would either keep that Grass Ground typing, or it could potentially be Grass Steel typing. We see some grey colouring on the shell. We could see that shell become more metallic and it gets Steel typing. Grass Steel typing is very good defensive typing. We see that with Ferrothorn that performs very well, so that could also be another option. In terms of the stat boost from Mega Evolution, I think that both attack and defense would get very big boosts. I put 40 extra points into both of these. I do think speed would drop a little bit because I can see its shell getting even tankier and harder to haul around, so it gets a little bit slower, but what that allows us to do is then pump a ton of stat points into special defense as well. So this thing becomes so bulky, but also very, very powerful. So I really like the idea of this. But what I like most about this Torterra idea is the ability that I've come up with, which is called Rooted. It kind of really emphasizes the grass and ground type of this design, which is why I think grass ground is maybe more likely with this. But what it acts like is leftovers, so that you're rooted into the ground, you're sucking up nutrients from the earth, so you've got leftovers there and you're recovering, which would be really nice for such a bulky Pokemon. But it also acts like suction cups, which prevents your Pokemon from being phased out with Roar or Dragon Tail or things like that. It sucks them into the ground so that they can't be phased out. And what could be really cool there is that Torterra does get some setup moves, so it could really benefit from that, but it just means that you have a bit more control and you can switch when you want to. You can't let your opponent switch you out. So I think that that will be a really cool ability, having two positive things going for it, and I would really like to see this Mega Torterra. Number 1, Luxray. Luxray won this poll by a large margin. It got over the double the votes of anything close by, and you can really see why. I think Luxray is such a cool Pokemon, but again, in competitive, you don't see it used too much. It's just held back for a number of reasons. Its stats actually look pretty decent. It's got some really nice stats going on there, but some of its issues are that it doesn't have very strong electric type moves. It does get Wild Charge, but you have Recoil there, and it does get the Guts ability, but again, if you've got the Flame Orb and Wild Charge going on, then you're getting a lot of recoil damage and you're not going to last too long in battle, which is a real shame. So let's have a look at the potential Mega Evolution. In terms of typing, I'm going to save that for when I discuss abilities too. So first let's look at the stats. I think the main thing here is that Luxray could really benefit from a speed boost. So putting 45 points into speed would make it much better in terms of an offensive Pokemon. It already has a great attack stat, but we're going to put 30 points into that so that it becomes 150. So it's going to be hitting really hard and it's going to be traveling really fast. So that's nice. I've also put 10 points into special attack. It means that you can run some special attacks, and where that's really helpful with Luxray is that it does get Volt Switch, so that you can have a physical attacker but also hit hard with a Volt Switch if you want to keep that momentum up. So I think it's really nice having that option. And then the rest of the points are going to go into defense. Luxray does have the Intimidate ability before it Mega Evolves, which allows it to tank physical hits a bit better. So putting some more defense there means that you can do that even easier. Special defense isn't touched, but I don't think that that's too much of an issue. Luxray isn't frail, it's got decent bulk anyway. So in terms of typing and abilities, I think the first one I want to consider is electric dark typing. A lot of people suggest this and a lot of people don't like it. So I think that it would actually work really well with this stat spread. You need to be fast though, because this is not very good defensive typing. Adding the dark typing adds a lot of weaknesses which people would be concerned about, and that's fair enough. But if we combine that with the ability Strong Jaw, that means that Luxray now has very, very powerful moves. For example, it would get a Stab, Strong Jaw boosted Crunch, which would hit so hard. It also gets Thunder Fang, which would get that Strong Jaw boost, and that would hit very hard too. And it gets really nice coverage in Ice Fang, because electric and ice coverage is fantastic. So that would be really, really nice to see, and that would be a very strong offensive Pokemon. The other option would be not to gain that dark typing and just be a pure electric type so that you don't have those extra weaknesses. And where you can hit a lot harder is giving this thing Galvanize, the new ability that we see with Alolan Golem. This turns your normal type moves into electric type moves and gives them a little boost as well. So you will be hitting incredibly hard with Return, because it would now be a Stab electric type move with a boost off a massive attack stat, which would be fantastic. And what's really cool here also is that Luxray learns Quick Attack, which would also benefit from Galvanize, and it would be a very, very pressuring Pokemon. It would force the opponent to make some difficult decisions as to which Pokemon they would have to sack to it. So I really like this Mega Luxray. I think there's so much potential here. Both options are really great. There's one which hits super hard with that dark typing, but it maybe does have a few more weaknesses. And then there's that mono electric typing, which is more of a one-trick pony, but it does have that very strong priority too, and it doesn't have as many weaknesses. With the Intimidate ability, it probably would stick around a lot longer. Really like these Mega Luxray ideas, so thank you for picking it as number 1. That's going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you wanted to see any different Pokemon on this list and what you think the Megas should look like. If you want to be involved in future voting, please follow me on Twitter. But that's going to be all for today. Thank you very much for watching. I've been foofootoo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.